Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fourth Down Focus. The more eagle-eyed amongst you will see there's only two of us today. But this is one thing we learned from week 12, obviously, and it's Thanksgiving for our American viewers. So happy Thanksgiving. I still don't know what the fuck you're celebrating, but yeah. I'm starting today because I've got a bit of a question, not NFL related, but me and James are both pretty keen college football fans. Lane Kiffin, the drama surrounding Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Where do you think he's going to go? Do you think he's going to stay there? Do you think LSU is his destination? What are we thinking?
So the options are stays, LSU, or is it Florida as
Yeah,
well?
we can knock Florida off. He's not going there.
I think he goes to LSU. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. I think, if you're looking at prestigious programs, it's obviously one of the biggest college programs in the entire of America. As much as Ole Miss is a very good school and there's not sort of undermining them, I think I can't see a world where he turns down LSU. My only reason thinking why he would be turned down at LSU is because since a bit of a poison chalice at the moment, Brian Kelly just did not have a good time. And basically, since the sort of Joe Burrow days, it's just not been the same program, really, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, it's been terrible. So I think it's an opportunity to retransform back into a contender, which I think will be a massive appeal to any coach, really, especially with the sort of fan base that LSU has.
My biggest thing at the minute with Lane Kiffin is he's got his decision to make, right? And then he's making it after the Egg Bowl. So Saturday morning he's making it because they play on Friday night. If he leaves, he's abandoning a team that he's taken to the playoffs. This is his best ever career as a coach. I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship because they probably won't. But he's in a better position to win it there this year than LSU, who aren't even in contention.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand it. If I was him, I probably would have waited till the end of the season. But college football is an ever-changing thing. It's very, very exciting to watch. But yeah, I'm very just intrigued to see what he does. To be honest,
Giants.
personally, if I was him, it wouldn't be the Giants. If I was him, I'd probably stay at Ole Miss. He's literally
Oh,
built that
no.
with he's built that with his bare hands, up to what it is now, and he's happy to throw that all away for an LSU team that, for me, is losing their best player this year to the draft, and everyone knows who I believe that is. But they're losing a key
They're not
part of
even going
them.
to lose, by the way, because he's apparently not even just
Yeah,
transfer.
apparently he might not even be leaving. He might be hitting the transfer portal. I think he should go to Ole Miss. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very, very confused by the fact he wants to leave. And one more college football thing. I know I'm wearing a Tennessee Volunteers jersey. However, committee members, how the fuck have you got Vanderbilt at 14th?
It's ridiculous. As I said, we're two Vols fans here, and we shouldn't like Vanderbilt, but you've got to give them their credit. I mean, it screams the whole South Carolina situation a couple of years ago, where they're just going to get robbed out of a playoff spot for no reason. If they go into Neyland and they beat us, I don't see a world where you can't put them in the playoffs. Like,
I
and
also see a
also
world
then
where they do
more,
go into there and beat us.
there needs to be more respect on Diego Pavia. I genuinely think he would be
100%.
my Heisman winner at this moment in time.
100%.
And just because he
Allegedly,
doesn't play for these big power schools like Julian Sayin or whatever, he's had a better season than Julian Sayin. He's had a better season than Ty Simpson. All these people that are in this race, he's had better seasons than in a worse team. So I don't know. I don't understand. He's literally potentially leading a generationally terrible college program into the playoffs, which for Vanderbilt fans was sort of like unheard of. If you even got a winning record, you'd be over the moon. So I don't understand. He should be a Heisman probably winner at this point, at least a top five candidate, and Vanderbilt should be in the playoffs.
I also just quickly touching on Vanderbilt. Clark Lee, for me, if I was a top college like an LSU, like a Florida, looking to replace an older head coach that's left in Kelly Napier, Clark Lee is who I'd go for. He's literally transformed an awful college program. Let's not get it twisted. They were the whipping boys of the SEC, and currently they're what they could go into New England, win, potentially get in the playoffs. And if it's not a college team that goes for him, I think NFL teams should be sniffing around Clark Lee.
At least for
Personally,
some sort of role in the coaching staff. I
maybe not
mean,
head coach, but an offensive coordinator, defensive
yeah,
coordinator, something like that. Whatever he's better at. But yeah, I just thought we'll start today. We'll touch on college football as it is rivalry week. So I'm looking forward to that. But let's get on to what is really our forte, which is the NFL.
absolutely. And we'll start with probably the upset of the week. You have to say the Bills lose to the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Another game where you sort of question the Buffalo Bills and how good this team really is. But fair play to the Texans. They've shut them down completely. Josh Allen, absolute shit show. Cheers for that one, Josh. You got me 10 points. You absolute dick. And I still won the week.
Yeah, we'll get on
But
to that.
yeah, I'll let you start on this one.
I've written down that I genuinely don't understand what's going wrong at the Bills. They've got, for me, a quarterback who is top 5 in the league. I won't hear any different. I see people on Twitter the other night saying Josh Allen's never been at that level. Don't kid yourself. He's had a bad season.
I mean,
He
he won the
literally won the
MVP.
MVP last year.
He's the reigning MVP, so now he can not
Exactly.
be at 5
Don't
level.
don't kid yourself. But there's something wrong there. He's never really had the weapons. That's the only thing I'll give Josh Allen. He's never really had an elite weapon on that Bills team. But I just don't understand what's going wrong. The Texans got a great defense, and they put up a few special teams points in this game. Am I correct? I can't even remember. But yeah, it was actually quite bad to watch because I really like the Bills. And if David off of Twitter's watching, yes, they have been overhyped now. Because they just lost to a Texans team who were struggling and who started Davis Mills.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of like sort of similar thing. Like, why are the Bills not winning these games? I mean, I did call Khalil Shakir having a big day, which I knew it was like the Texans are awful at defending the slot, and this is the most like primary slot receiver almost in the league. Like that's what is where he's always at. So 110 yards was not that surprising for me. But I mean, the Texans, as I said, every week where you sort of write them off in there, they're not going to the playoffs. They do something like this, and then all of a sudden, to be fair, I mean, this defense is really, really good, and it's another game where they've limited a very good team to not a lot of points, and this time they've won the game in turn. But fair play to like Jaden Higgins, for example. He stepped up in a big way for them this year at receiver. Christian Kirk had a good game in this one, was their leading receiver. Second leading, 1 yard behind Nico Collins. But yeah, this Bills team is good, but I think there's big weaknesses, and I sort of mentioned this, especially as you said, like bar Stephon Diggs, he's never really had that guy to throw the ball to, and even then Diggs isn't like generational. So if I was the Bills, I'd be looking at receiver draft because
100%.
give this guy someone to throw the ball to because it's getting borderline ridiculous at this stage. But yeah, just not a good day for the Buffalo Bills.
Side note, fuck Dalton Schultz. As if I would have started anybody else on my bench, I would have beaten James in fantasy this week.
Also, the same could be said for me, who started Jameson Williams
Yeah,
with 0
true.
points and Mark Andrews with 1.2 points.
Forgot he had 0 points as he is on my bet for tonight's game.
That's why he's not on any of mine, and nor is he in my fantasy team for this week.
I think he's on 2 of mine.
This next up, the Ravens versus the Jets. The Ravens get yet another win on their quest to sort of save this season. That's 5 on the spin now. And I believe they're on to a positive record, but I believe they're 6-5 now. So after their disastrous start to the season, they are recovering well, and I believe they're top of the division, I want to say.
Keep talking and I'll check it for you.
I believe they're top of the division, but I'll start with this one, and it's sort of like, I think the Ravens, as I said, have to win out every week, and they look like they could do that. But for me, the Jets, Tyrod Taylor has proven that maybe Justin Fields isn't that guy because he wasn't that bad in this game at all. John Mechie sort of spawned in out of nowhere. Another quite decent game from him, 5 receptions for 65 and a touchdown. Also, Breece Hall had 75 receiving yards, but only 44 rushing yards, so that sort of says a lot.
Ashton Genty start line.
Yeah. But just also Lamar Jackson seems scared to run the ball as much as he did. Because even in this game, there was times where I think it was like on 3rd and goal, 2nd and goal, he went for a scramble, but he was really hesitant. He really didn't want to do it. He throws it. I've noticed it for a while. I can't remember the last time he had like a big rushing game since he came back from his injury. It seems like he doesn't want to do it anymore, which to the Ravens is a massive loss because obviously his big asset is being a dual threat quarterback, and with him not rushing for 11 yards in this game, I'm not saying he did it where he needed to, but it could be a big loss to the Ravens if this sort of trend continues with Lamar Jackson.
I can't help but think that in their current position, it might be a coaching decision.
Yeah.
If he goes down injured again, then their season's done. There's no doubt about it. They need to win out. They are top of the division as well. Same record as the Steelers. But if Jackson was to get injured again, they're done. And for me, if they don't make the playoffs, that's Harbaugh's job.
Yeah.
So he'd also be gone. So it could be a coach's decision. I think it'd be interesting to see when they make the playoffs, because they are going to make the playoffs. It's pretty certain for me they're going to do that. When they make the playoffs, if he then does start scrambling again, if he doesn't, then we maybe start to go, okay, is he scared to get hit? Whereas if he does, I think it's much more we look at Jim Harbaugh. John, is it John or Jim? I can never remember which one's which.
Jim.
That's it. Thought so. But yeah, we look at it and we just sort of think, is that a coaching decision? I think it probably could be. I've just literally written down the same as you. Another win, trending in the right direction. Not the best game. Did Kyle Hamilton go off injured again, I believe?
Yeah.
How is that guy injured all the time? It's actually almost sad to watch because he's a really good player. But yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs from here. They've salvaged this season back from what it was. But at the same time, they're not really convincing me. If you look at a Ravens team we expect, a Ravens team week one that lost to the Buffalo Bills, this game wouldn't have been as close.
No.
I don't think they've got the same firepower they did have. I think actually their game tonight will be very interesting. Obviously, recording this on Thursday, so the Bengals game, we'll obviously get onto it in the predictions video. I think that'll be interesting to see because the Bengals are back to full strength on offense, so it's going to have to be a shootout for me. So that's where I think we might see Lamar Jackson running around again, making plays with his legs again, sort of thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I will say Nick Folk is still yet to miss a field goal this season. I believe he's the only kicker in the NFL who is yet to miss a field goal, which is very interesting because it seems like a team that would kick a lot based on their offense being so bad. But he never gets into field goal range anyway. But just a little fun fact, he's yet to miss a field goal and did make his only attempt in this game. Yeah. The Lions beat the Giants. Look, my first point is we are the best 2-10 team in NFL history. We actually have to be. I looked at the power rankings yesterday. We were 23rd, and we are 2-10.
Yeah, I see that. I did see that.
That shows you how good this team probably should be. Also, thank fuck he's gone. Shane Bowen's been fired. Thank fuck it was finally the end, as it should have been. Because again, another game we probably should have won, and we fucked it up again. Another point. Why are we the only team that seems to concede stupidly long field goals to tie or lose games? It's another
I'm
one.
not going to give you that solely because I watched the Jaguars kick the record against us that lost us the game.
Right, but if you watch a replay of Jake Bates' field goal to tie this in overtime, the ball is going out and it just mysteriously comes back in the posts.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's just fucking ridiculous at this stage. Also, yeah, I love Jameis Winston. This man has to start in the NFL. I don't care. You've said it many times to me, Kian. There is not 32 quarterbacks in this league that are better than Jameis Winston. This game was an absolute
That's what I've got written down. That's actually what I've written down again.
Yeah. I mean, it's an absolute clinic from Jameis Winston again. 3-6-6, 2 touchdowns. Gunnar Olszewski throws him a touchdown where he stiff arms a Lions DB in for a touchdown. I mean, you might as well just start playing tight end.
When he caught that ball, it felt like to me when your friend who doesn't play Madden is breaking free on Madden, they're just pressing buttons and hoping. It's literally what it looked like. I love Jameis Winston, man.
Everyone loves Jameis Winston. But yeah, just like a Wandale, brilliant game for him again. I think he's leading towards probably getting an extension in a year where he needs to perform. He has been, he's 9th in the league in receiving yards, so I can't argue with that too much. What else about our disgusting organization? Just yeah. I mean, so there's signs with this team. I think Bowen gone was massive. It should have happened fucking ages ago, but he's finally gone. Thank fuck. I hope he never gets another job in any form of football because whoever gets him is going to be in for an absolute treat. But look, this team is good. But I mean, obviously, the focal point of this game is Jahmyr Gibbs has got absolutely nuclear on our defense, as expected. The team that can't defend the run concedes a stupid amount of rushing yards to a fucking running back. 219 yards on the ground for Jahmyr Gibbs. And 45 yards off 11 receptions. So it's just fucking ridiculous. Amon-Ra 150 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. But I still sit here and wonder, should we probably deserve to win this game, in my opinion?
My big thing with the Giants at the minute is I'm almost a bit jealous. We're pretty much on the same record. If we hadn't have had our bye week, we probably would have lost. So we'd probably both be 2-10, both sat at 2-10. But our whole situations feel so different. For me, looking at this Giants team, obviously there's players to come back into it. People forget Malik Neighbors went down so early into the year. We've never seen, I'm not Jackson Dart's biggest fan, but we've never seen Jackson Dart and Neighbors complete a full game together. You
We've
know,
seen
you've
Jackson
never
Dart have a competent game with a half decent receiving
this,
core.
this is what I mean. So, you know, you've got one of the best receivers in the league for me. I took him in round one in a couple of fantasy drafts. Didn't end well.
Thanks,
But,
man.
you know, and then you look at us and it's like, well, where are we going with this? So there's positives with this Giants team. I think looking forward to next year, you're going to have a high pick again, whether you trade it away for a haul, whether you take a good player pretty high up in the draft. There's two great options there.
Traded
Um,
away.
I just, yeah, I want to kind of sit here and clown the Giants. For people who don't know, my brother's a Giants fan as well. So I quite like taking the piss out of the Giants. But at the same time, it's got to a stage where I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to take the piss out of the Giants because
No.
I genuinely do think that next year, with the right hires, go and get Clark Lee, with the right hires, this Giants team could be dangerous. And it pains me to say that because I liked the years we were all shit on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the rumors of Chris Schuler are true, I'd absolutely love that. You know, that Rams defense has been unbelievable this year, and to bring him in would be a huge statement that we're looking to be one of them teams that competes at the very top. I'd be very very happy with that as a head coach appointment. As far as defensive coordinators go, it cannot actually be worse than Shane Bowen. Like it actually can't. So it's just like whatever, you just get a good one in. But this team has so much potential, and we have a franchise quarterback, we have a franchise running back, a franchise wide receiver, a really good front seven on defense. A chance to add to that secondary, which has good players in it, but obviously has weaknesses which need to be addressed. And an offensive line that's been way better than expected this year. So overall, I think it's looking forward. I've basically been doing this since like week 3, but just looking forward to next year has been the big play. And I think, this game again shows that we're not that bad. There's how many games have we lost this season by one score? I mean, as someone brought the graphic up again, I mean, it's just a fucking ridiculous amount of games. I think we should, based on games that we had like the highest % chance of winning in the fourth quarter, would be 8-2 or something like that, which is just fucking ridiculous. So it shows you how good this team could be with a fully fit team and a decent coaching staff. So fingers crossed we get that
Just a quick one
next
as
year.
well. As you look forward towards the next year's draft, what the positions you need, we're very deep on them in this class. You need secondary help. You're going to be in position to get someone like a Caleb Downs. You need linebacker help.
I think
You could get Arvell Reese. You could go even further down. There's going to be players, great linebackers going in the second and third round. This is, for me, a great defensive class. And if you pick up the right players, I worry about the Giants, and not in a way that you worry.
No, I agree. I think there's big chance for us to be a good team next year. Not speaking of shit teams though, the Bengals, another loss for them as they lose to the pick. Only just though. It was very, very close. This game was kept down. And my big point from this game, because I only got really one, is Joe Burrow must want to kill himself watching how good this Bengals defense was against the Patriots. Because as much as they give up 26 points, they stopped this Patriots team from pulling away a lot in this game.
I was actually speaking about this. I want to say to you, I don't understand how they struggled so badly. This is a Patriots offense that has been really good this year and beaten better defense. I know they didn't lose this game, doesn't really matter overall. But this Bengals defense is tragic. And they struggled their way through it, and it was close right until the very end as well. Obviously, Burrow coming back into the team, I don't think that's the correct decision. I personally would have played Flacco for the rest of the year, solely based on injury. If Burrow goes out there tonight, for example, and does his ACL, do you think he's playing football again? I don't think he's playing football again.
I think he'll play again, just not for this franchise. To be fair, the only reason I can see the vision, and it's a massive it's a massive dream, but they're 3 wins outside the first place spot in this division. So they're thinking is probably if we put Joe Burrow in, we have a theoretical chance that we could win out and potentially hope on a Ravens slip, like in their game that's coming up tonight. There's a potential for a slip against the Bengals. So then if they beat the Ravens with Joe Burrow, all of a sudden they're 2 wins out, and that's more than probable.
I do get it, but at the same time, you've got to look at it from this perspective, where even if you get to the playoffs, you're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. Right? This is not a Bengals team set up to win. They're not in win now mode. They should be in win now mode. They're not in win now mode. Look forward to next year, right? They could improve in the draft. They could improve in free agency, and they could have a decent defense, a decent O-line next year. But then your quarterback's fucked. He's injured again. And you're playing Joe Flacco again. So your franchise guy, obviously this is all hypothetical. He could go for the rest of his career without an injury. I doubt it. Personally, I wouldn't put him in harm's way. He made a good point in his press conference. He came out and said, "I'm a football player. I want to play football." It's fair, but I personally, if I was him, I would have had some Thanksgiving turkey, and just sat out for the rest of the year. You're still making your money, Joe. You know.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. But as far as Patriots team go, it's a couple of games now where I've not been. I know they're 10-2, and I know it's hard to criticize a team with such a good record. We've won basically every game since week 3. They've won every game, but it's another game. Like, even against the Jets, they weren't as electric as they've shown to be, and I think it begs my question of, I think I said it before, but I don't think this Patriots team is a Super Bowl contender team. I really don't think it is. I don't think there's enough overall quality yet. I'm not saying it can't be, and it probably will be in like a year or two with the right draft picks and the right free agent signs or what have you. But I just don't know. Right now, I'm just not like the Falcons game, for example, where they scraped past the Falcons team that was battered. Just there's certain games. Also, if you look at their schedule, I've said this so many times, but they've basically beat one good team all year,
For
in my
me,
opinion.
when a team is like this, like obviously the Broncos, they're a whole different story for me. They're very similar, but they're a whole different story. The defense is good enough that it wins them games. I actually sort of look back to the Bengals team that made the Super Bowl. They scraped through games. You know, in the playoffs, I want to say McPherson walked off every game right up to the Super Bowl. It's a sign of a good team for me. Whether this Patriots team is a Super Bowl contender, I don't know. But anything can happen in the playoffs, and this is a team with a lot of confidence. So it'll be interesting to see. Look, I'm not 100% certain on them, but I'm more sold on them now than I was maybe 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, they've beaten to the Bills and the Bucks. The only good teams they've beaten, in my opinion. The rest they should be winning these games. They've lost to the Raiders, they've lost to the Steelers, who aren't very good. So, they beat the Panthers, Saints, Titans, Browns, Falcons, Jets, and Bengals outside of their wins. They play the Giants again this week.
There's games that you can slip up in there for me.
There is, and I get that, they can only beat what's in front of you and what have you. But I think my worry with this Patriots team is when they're not convincing in games like this, when the Bills, for example, they play the Bills again in 2 weeks' time, when they got the Ravens as well on that schedule. There's two teams there that are going to test you, and I think it'll be interesting to see how the Patriots cope
Can I
with
just
games.
say how disgusting it is to see them top of the East again?
I know.
I don't hate this team as such, but I just hate the organisation just through their years of hurt that they give everyone. Yeah, I mean, like you say, you look at their schedule. Giants game won't be easy. I think they'll beat you, but it won't be easy. And then obviously they're on their bye. I think that bye for me is a crucial point in the season for the Patriots because I actually think it comes at a bad time. Because let's say they beat you. If they beat you, then that's 10 weeks in a row that they've won a game, and then they've got to have a week. They've got to have a week off, and then they go straight to Buffalo. No, it's at home. Sorry, and then they got Buffalo. So I look at that and I think that's a worst time. It's such a late bye week that it could almost disrupt their rhythm. I hope it doesn't because I have actually enjoyed watching them. Obviously, they've got the Jets and Dolphins. They're going to win out. Like they're going to win them last 2 games. They're going to have that sort of hope going into the playoffs. But if they didn't have that bye week, what's to say they don't win out all the way to the playoffs, get the 1 seed? And as a Raiders fan, I know I wasn't alive, but I know that's not a nice place to go when it hits January. So if they get the 1 seed, we suddenly start to look at them, that home field advantage, and just think, fuck, this is a Patriots team that could go all the way.
Definitely. We'll move on to the Chiefs beating the Colts, as much to Kian's dismay on the evening of when it happened. I could not care less. I did not want either of these teams to win, but I would rather the Chiefs win just because I'm desperate for this Colts team to fall off a cliff. But the Chiefs come out with a walk-off field goal from Harrison Butker after, a fairly good fourth quarter performance, you have to say, just in terms of keeping the Colts out defensively, shut them out for a very long time in this game. And again, another game where Jonathan Taylor is not hitting the levels that he has been in the last couple of weeks. But Kareem Hunt with 104 rushing yards was sort of the difference in this one.
I didn't like that. That took me back to a horrible time.
Rashee Rice with 141 receiving yards as well in a game where, if you look at all the stats, as much as you probably don't want to admit it, the Chiefs probably deserve to win.
I've got a few things written down. First, I've just written, I hate this fucking team, which is fair. Everyone knows that. Genuinely, though, a question for everyone. Has Harrison Butker ever missed a crucial field goal? The guy is so clutch. Like, okay, it was close. It was a very close field goal. I think I would have kicked it. But we've seen people miss from there. Every time Butker steps up to catch, I just think, fuck me, this is going to go through. Like, it genuinely hurts. Yes, I think this Chiefs team, after half time, probably deserved to win this game. And it hurts me to say, the Colts, something's just flicked at half time and it just weren't the same team coming out for the second half. You mentioned Jonathan Taylor. Genuinely, it's weird. Running backs that I take on fantasy and then get rid of seem to turn shit. Because Bijan Robinson has been good since I picked him up. Jonathan Taylor has been shit since I gave him away. Yeah, makes you think. But yeah, I just this Chiefs team, I don't have any words to describe them. I don't think they're that good of a team. I don't even think he's having that good of a season. We all know who he is. But they just win games. And I think if they win tonight, then we have to start preparing for the possibility of them being in the playoffs, them doing what they do in the playoffs, and them lifting the Lombardi and Levi's in February.
And realistically, look, they go to the Cowboys. They don't have the Texans, which isn't easy either. Chargers, which isn't easy. But then Titans, Broncos, Raiders. They're going to beat the Titans and Raiders. So, and the Broncos may already be division champions by the time that game rolls around at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. So they may be resting starters.
But I don't think they'd rest them because I don't think they want the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it ultimately depends because it's the week before the last week of the season, so it's very rare you see teams rest starters at that stage. If they're still in contention for the 1 seed, which they should be based on their record at the minute, I think they will play. But if it gets to a point where they probably won't get the 1 seed or they can't get the 1 seed, but they've already won this division, I think you sort of think, okay, they're probably going to not risk anyone as much as they don't want the Chiefs in the playoffs. You got to weigh that up with the risk of, do you want your players to be healthy for the playoffs? But yeah, the Colts, I'm so not sold at all. I refuse to believe this team will win a playoff game. I don't see it at all. I really don't think they win a playoff game. I think, they will win the division again, but they're only 1 win ahead of the Jags, 2 wins ahead of the Texans. If this team is a bad run of form, they could not make the playoffs at all, which, had we said a couple of weeks ago, would be insanity. But now, it's not. If they hit a bad spell, all of a sudden, they got the Texans and the Jags is the next 2 games. That's 2 divisional games back to back. They're huge. If they lose both of them, they're in serious trouble that they won't make the playoffs. Because then they go to the Seahawks. Can't see them winning there. Niners won't be hard. The Jags and Texans again. So they played Jags and Texans twice, both of them, in the last 6 games.
I can't help but think you're slightly overreacting to a team with 3 losses.
I'm not. I'm just saying, it's a very hard schedule, and this Colts team has not impressed me for a while now.
It's a tough schedule, but I just think they've got enough. I think that defense has been pretty good.
The Steelers game gave up 27, gave up 25 to the battered and bruised Falcons.
I don't think they're as bad as you're making them out to be. I don't think they're as good as people have been making them out to be, but I don't think they're as bad as you've been making them out to be.
It's another team where I'm just looking at the record, and have they beaten anyone good? They've beat the Dolphins, Broncos. Okay, fine.
Titans. We won't get on to the Broncos.
Titans, Raiders, Cardinals, Chargers, Titans, and Falcons, the teams that they've beaten this season.
But for me, you've got to look at the manner of them wins. They went into Miami, they scored 33 points, sorry. You look at the Titans, 41. Okay, these aren't good teams. The Rams game they lost to, who is a lot of people's favourites for this Super Bowl, he dropped the ball on the goal line. They nearly had a touchdown, and I think it was A.D. Mitchell, it might have been, was about to break the plane and dropped the ball, and they lost by a touchdown. So, again, that's a game they could have won. They absolutely dicked us, okay, it's not hard. 46. You look at these games, they put 38 points on the Chargers.
Again, this season has not proven to be that difficult at times.
But I don't think they're not losing games badly. Their 3 losses, one was a touchdown. The Pittsburgh Steelers one was also a touchdown, and then the Chiefs one was a walk-off field goal.
I agree with the Steelers, but it's also a bad way just to lose the Steelers in general.
I don't disagree, but going into Arrowhead and losing by a walk-off is not criminal.
I just think that the 3 good teams they've played this season, they've lost to all of them, which is my logic here. It screams like a Patriots this year as well. I'm worried about them because of how easy their schedule's been it's hard to see how good they really are. And games like this show you how good players like Daniel Jones anyway really are, because he absolutely flopped on the big stage. Shock. But yeah, we'll move on because we're going to be here all day otherwise.
Yeah.
Packers
Well,
versus
this will
the
be a nice.
Vikings.
This will be a fast one.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy is shit. The Packers are shit, but because JJ McCarthy is so shit, it doesn't matter.
I have got written down. JJ McCarthy has set this franchise back years because they've got a wide receiver who, for anyone who's watched the NFL for less than maybe 15 years, is one of the best that we've seen. And he's being wasted by a guy who calls himself 9. Like, I just genuinely don't see it. There's people who didn't see it around the draft. I didn't see it around the draft. And they still
Did anyone watch this guy's combine?
Genuinely, I don't understand what people saw in him. I'm actually quite excited to see Max Brosnan, to be honest.
Surely they're going to sign someone.
I think just give him a game. He can't be any worse than JJ McCarthy. He can't. He can't be any worse than JJ McCarthy.
I will say JJ McCarthy had 52 net passing yards in this game.
Jameis Winston is better than JJ McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
But Jameis Winston was a third string at the start of this season.
Yeah. My only other point was thank you very much, Emmanuel Wilson, for a nice fantasy performance. That was much appreciated.
Yeah, fuck you.
But apart from that, I don't really have much to say about this game.
Yeah, pretty naff.
My other point is, if the Packers didn't make the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised.
Then they'd not really impressed me. I think this game at 6 o'clock tonight is one where they need to prove themselves. Okay, the Lions haven't been the same team this year, but going into Ford Field on Thanksgiving, there's a game they're used to. The Lions have this game every year. If they go there and beat them, suddenly I might think, okay, they're better than I think they are.
What I will say is, I'm going to reaffirm, looking at the schedule, they aren't making the playoffs. Lions, Bears, Broncos, Bears, Ravens, Vikings.
I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Personally, I don't think they'll make the playoffs. But I will have a very different viewpoint on this Packers team if they impress me tonight.
If they win, yeah, I agree. We'll move on to the Bears Steelers. And
I would like to start because I'd like to call you out on this one.
Yeah.
So many times this season you've said this Bears team is overhyped.
And I stand by.
However, if you're a huge Broncos enjoyer and a huge Broncos backer,
I have not said I am a huge Broncos enjoyer.
You cannot call this Bears team overhyped.
No, I have called out the Broncos for being overrated as well. This Bears team is not. If this Bears team makes the playoffs, then I dread to think.
This Bears team will make the playoffs. I have no doubt in my mind. This Bears
then the game is gone.
Clip
the
it
game is
and
gone.
put it on Twitter if they don't make the playoffs. This Bears team will make the playoffs.
The Bears team is not making the playoffs. They can't make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, then fuck me, they are getting absolutely humped in the first playoff game, whoever they play, because they've struggled to get over the line. They should have lost this game, by the way. I'm not.
I'll be honest. They impressed me in this game.
If they weren't playing against an absolute idiot at quarterback, they would have lost this game comfortably, and they still nearly did.
Caleb Williams has impressed me this season. That's all I'm going to say. He has impressed me this season. He looks a lot better. He's limited the sacks he was taking last year. Okay, they invested in the O-line, but a lot of them were on him. And he's moving faster. He's going through his progressions quicker. He looks a better quarterback now. Roma Dunze has really stepped up this year. For me, I don't know what he's actually listed as, but he should be the wide receiver one on that team.
I mean, if you're looking at... I've made my point about teams with good records and they haven't beaten anyone good. This team very much falls into that conversation. This is arguably the worst of the lot. They have beat the Steelers, Vikings, Giants, Bengals, Saints, Commanders, Raiders, and Cowboys. They got 52 points on their dome from the Lions. They lose to the Vikings because of JJ McCarthy.
That was a bad game. I'll give you that. That was a bad game.
By the Ravens. This Bears team cannot win. They got the Eagles next. They're losing. They got the Packers.
Sorry to interrupt. My window is open in my house right now, right? And the guy who lives opposite me, his window's open. I've just glanced up, and he's playing college football. As Penn State. I feel like I need to go knock on and invite him round for the Thanksgiving game because I didn't realise this guy was a big Penn State fan. It feels strange that I can see into his living room, but he's got his blinds open. I've got mine open. I've looked up and thought, there's no game on right now, so what is he watching? But no, he's playing college football as Penn State.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, just this game. The Bears. If the Bears make the playoffs, then the NFL has gone to shit. This team is just not good. It's not a good team. I don't know where they are. And every week I watch them, I'm really not convinced.
Distracted.
Is he winning?
He's just dropped back. Oh, he's been sacked. Carry on. It doesn't
Um,
help. It doesn't help that he's got a massive fucking telly,
TV. Yeah.
so I can just see everything.
Unless you got anything to say about this, move on because I'm just going
Yeah,
to rant
move on.
over
I'm gonna,
this Bears team.
before we start the next episode, I'm going to close that over because he's probably going to watch the game, so I don't want to be distracted. You know.
Yeah. Next, the Titans versus the Seahawks, and just about the Seahawks get another win.
I don't know anything about this game.
So
I
I've
completely
got a
forgot
few
this game
points from
happened.
this one. The first one is Cam Ward isn't a draft bust, and I'm happy to put that on the record. I think he could be the long-term solution because he was very impressive in this game against what is arguably one of the best defenses in the entire league. My other point is the Seahawks are not a Super Bowl contender. This is 2 weeks in a row where they lose a game to a Rams side who basically tried to gift them a win. They still lost, and they've struggled to beat. Not struggled, but they weren't entirely convincing against a Titans team, which we've seen are absolute garbage. So I'm just not sold. My other point is JSN is the offensive player of the year, in my opinion.
I'm going to counteract two of your points there. I'll start with the JSN one because it's going to be quick. It's going to be snappy. I think it's Jonathan Taylor. And if it doesn't get given to Jonathan Taylor, I genuinely think it's a robbery, as good as I think JSN has been. My other point is about Cam Ward. I don't think you can call someone the long-term solution. You can be impressed by them. I don't think in such a bad team, you can call someone the long-term solution. He's going to look good. Anything he does is going to look good.
I don't know
But the
what it
rest
is.
of that team is so bad. I would like to see him in a big game when the pressure's on. Personally, and we're not going to see that.
No, I agree. I like him though. I think he's got the rushing upside, which is nice.
I don't disagree.
Mechanically, he hasn't looked that bad in a team where he's basically throwing to fucking nobody.
To be fair, speaking of throwing to, I like Shimray DK.
Well, I was gonna break a fun fact. The leader in the NFL in all-purpose yards this season is Shemire DK.
Is it?
He is on pace for all-purpose yards 2,700.
To be fair, he does the kick returns, doesn't he?
That's what I mean, and he's been very good on returns. So yeah, he is the all-purpose leader in the NFL. He got 1,700 all-purpose yards, and I believe if he does keep his record up, he will break the NFL record for all-purpose yards in a season.
Fucking hell, it's not bad for a rookie. But yeah, I'm not against calling Cam Ward the future of that franchise, but at the same time, I think it's too early. And my main point there that I can sort of back that up with is when Darnold was at the Vikings, everyone was loving Darnold. And then he went into that playoff game and he shit himself. And suddenly, Sam Darnold got traded away. And I think when the Seahawks get to the playoffs, Sam Darnold is going to shit himself again. We've seen it in a big game. We've seen it in the Rams game. He's not a big game quarterback. And for me, I like this Seahawks team. I think it's a good team. But Sam Darnold is not the answer.
No, but I will stand on JSN. I think he should be Offensive Player of the Year now. I think Jonathan Taylor's had 2 or 3 games where he's not really hit the yardage, and JSN has just been consistently 100 yards, 100 yards, 100 yards every game. I believe he's on like 1,300 yards compared to Jonathan Taylor's on about 200-300 less than him now. So if he keeps his pace up, I don't think if he he's on pace to be very close to breaking some NFL records. And I think if he does that, you can't not give it to him, in my opinion.
We all know that the Offensive Player of the Year vote is rigged anyway, so
yeah, it doesn't
really probably
go
to fucking Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it'd be something stupid. Next up,
right. Let me get my piece out of the way here.
Kian, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's not a chance I'm missing a Browns win on this podcast. I couldn't make the episode, but I'm jumping in here. I've already seen what them two have to say about the game, doing the edit right now as we speak. Shedeur is that guy. Okay, this is... I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but he's clearer Dylan Gabriel, so just playing for the rest of the season. I kind of agree with what Kian said. It's not his fault that, like, whenever he does something, people go mad. It's his dad's fault, if anything, for being the legend that he is. He can't help that, really. I don't think he's that arrogant. I think there's plenty of other players that are arrogant that get away with it. So, maybe that's bias. I don't know. Myles Garrett broke another record. He's incredible. I honestly think he should get MVP at this point. Defensive Player of the Year is not enough. I'm still not over that Jerry Jeudy fumble. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. He started prancing around with a ball in one hand with 4 men around him. That angered me. The defense still looks strong. I think James said we need to draft a quarterback. Definitely don't take one in the first round. I think we've got to take a wide receiver and someone on offensive line. More than anything, really. If we can protect Shedeur and give him some weapons, who knows, he might come good. That wasn't a kind of like prove it game for Shedeur. We'll know when that game is, when we'll be like, yeah, that's the guy, or that's not the guy. This wasn't it. The Raiders are terrible. 49ers game this weekend, I've backed us, as you'll see in the predictions video, which I'm also not on. Sorry about that. I think we can get it done. The 49ers offense is terrible. We've got one of the better defenses in the league. I think we can hold them off and just slightly beat them. Like, after that Panthers game, I'm not sold on the 49ers whatsoever. So yeah, Browns win. Perfect timing. Fucking let's go, Browns.
Well, let me start quickly by saying I'm glad Chip Kelly's gone. And I'll give you a positive as well while I'm here. Genty had a really good game. And he looked a lot better with our poor offensive line. Now let me move on to the bad parts. The Las Vegas Raiders is no longer a football team. It's a clothing brand. It's no longer a football team. They don't care. The money for the Raiders is not coming from the Raiders. When you look at our stadium, for example, we've got Morgan Wallen playing there, Luke Combs playing there, AC/DC or something like that playing there. You know, they're making so much money off of other events. The NRL is playing there. They don't need a good Raiders team. When the Raiders play a team from the East Coast, the away fans will fly in. There's not an away day culture in America, but when the away day's fucking Las Vegas, then everyone is doing it. So
Yeah, including CD Lamb and George Pickens.
Exactly. So they don't need a good Raiders team to be profitable. So why would they care? Why would they throw money at players? Why would they go and try and make a difference? Go and try and get a quality head coach, quality quarterback when they're making the money anyway? I don't think that this is a franchise for me that will exist any more than 40 years. And I genuinely do believe that. I don't see how that move from Oakland to Vegas has ever been positive.
Wow.
That's
I mean,
my-
because I might as well doom and gloom. Shedeur Sanders, I'm not having it. This honestly, some of the
fucking knew that
stuff
was coming.
the commentary team is making me want to shoot myself in the forehead, but I cannot watch a Browns game for the foreseeable future until he's gone, because it was literally on Twitter and commentary that Shedeur Sanders so good when Dylan Sampson catches a fucking check down and runs for 66 yards, and apparently that's Shedeur Sanders.
That was bad.
What the fuck are we doing here? Yeah, I can't stand him. He's shit. In this game, he has 209 yards, and then 66 comes off a check down, which Sampson just runs past like 6 people. But apparently, yeah, that's all on Shedeur for throwing such a great check down. Fucking has one decent pass to fucking Jerry Jeudy, who then fumbled it anyway, so it didn't matter.
That was great. I enjoyed that.
Whatever he was doing, fucking hop, skipping and jumping all over the gaff, not having a clue. There was a guy right behind him. Yeah, Shedeur Sanders is not a franchise quarterback. And if the Browns don't draft a quarterback, and also they need to do one in the first round, but if they don't take one this year, then they're just accepting they're going to be average, because they love him now because he threw one decent pass and has a good stat line, and how shit Dylan Gabriel was. The bar is on the floor, but the guy's shit. I'm so not having it against the Raiders defense, where he still wasn't convincing against probably the worst defense in the entire NFL. So just bear that in mind if you're going to do a hype train.
Let's not stop at defense. Worst team in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
According to the power rankings, we actually are.
Dylan Sampson has an unbelievable run, and a comment oh my god, Shedeur Sanders, he's fucking amazing. I was like, what are you on about?
Yeah. A tiny part of me almost feels sorry for Sanders. Don't know, he is egotistical and a bit of a prick, but the amount of loving around him, the amount of loving around his dad. Every time he does something half decent, it's, oh my God, Shedeur Sanders has done this. That's what made people hate Patrick Mahomes. When Collinsworth started doing that, people started to hate Mahomes. So
we haven't got Max for the impression, and I'm not going to try and do it.
No, I won't do it. But when we start hyping up average players, fans start to hate said average players, and they start preying on downfalls. So I feel a little bit sorry for him, but at the same time, he is an arrogant prick, so he sort of deserves it. But yeah, I can't get behind that. But I'm glad they won, because a half decent quarterback maybe might pull us out of this clothing brand that we currently are. But I don't see it.
Shame you're going to draft Ty Simpson and you're going to be in the same cycle because he is shit.
I'm not having that. He's shit. He's not great. He's not.
If he is an NFL quarterback, then I reckon I could make it in the NFL.
He's not that bad.
There is no way he's an NFL quarterback. I've watched quite a few Ty Simpson games, and not one time I thought NFL.
The only time I really didn't like him was the FSU game.
Just every game I've watched him, I've just not been sold on just everything. I think if he wasn't on this Bama team, he wouldn't even be in conversations.
It's not a top level Bama team though.
No, but it's Alabama, and they're still going to win most games, regardless. Also, by the way, yeah, Myles Garrett's fucking ridiculous. This is getting ridiculous to the level.
Don't disagree.
He's on.
Obviously, don't disagree. The guy's insane. However, the sacks that he got in that game should have a little asterisk next to them. Because anything done against our offensive, I think I could get a sack against our offensive line. So, don't get me wrong, should still win Defensive Player of the Year, still by far the best defensive player in the league. But I refuse to give him any sort of plaudits, or any of their players any sort of plaudits for anything they did against this Raiders O-line.
Yeah, fair. Next up, the Cards versus the Jags, and as much as the Jaguars really tried to lose this game, they don't. They just about get the win in overtime. But my sort of main point about this is Kyler Murray cannot play another game for this Cardinals team because Jacoby Brissett has been, I actually am going to say it now, has been really good. I don't care about the record. His individual performances have been brilliant, in my opinion. Another 300-yard game. Another silly, 49 attempted passes in this one. I mean, fucking hell. So if you've got, for someone who owns Trey Benson has been sitting on him in fantasy till he comes back, even when he comes back, I'm not sold. Someone else I got in fantasy, Michael Wilson. What a guy. My leading point scorer in my fantasy team because I didn't win the week and none of my players scored. I did win the week, sorry, without any of my players scoring a touchdown. And my most valuable thing in my entire team was the Browns defense. Michael Wilson was the best.
The fact my best player this week against you was Wan'Dale Robinson, who was on the bench, will sort of explain that. I was 2 points behind for anyone wondering how bad my team is. It's actually better now than it was 3 weeks ago. Yet it's just turned into shit in that week.
I was sort of hoping you'd win to keep the playoff race more interesting, but I've now eliminated you from playoff contention.
So was I. I picked up Jacoby Myers today. That'll be nice, but
yeah, Michael Wilson, 118 yards off 10 receptions, begs the question of what Marvin Harrison Jr.'s usage will look like when he comes back into the team, if it's this week or next week, because Michael Wilson has really been just 200-yard plus games. I refuse to believe you can stop throwing in the ball just because Marvin Harrison's back in the frame.
I'd actually like to see Marvin Harrison with Jacoby Brissett, though.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of, when we're looking at this Cardinals team now, a lot of the problems revolve around the fact that Kyler Murray was the guy. Whereas we've now got Maserati Marv, which I hate calling him because he's been more like a Mitsubishi in his time in the league. But if
that's still probably too generous.
Yeah. If he can step it up with probably a better quarterback, let's admit, then we stop calling him a bust. But yeah, we'll see.
I think it's just for where he went in the draft. I mean, he's not the best receiver,
and he had a lot.
The best receiver literally went to us. Yeah, the best receiver went to us 2 picks later.
His pre-draft hype was so high as well.
We got him and Adunze. Who Adunze sort of was in that category and has climbed out of it this year, so ever so slightly. I still think 9th overall, dubious, but he's been good this year. Whereas Marv's obviously been injured, and when he's been on the field, he's not been amazing. Had a lot of drops, bad chemistry with Kyler Murray. And obviously, we got Malik Neighbors, who's the best receiver in that class. You can debate that with whoever you like. But yeah, just Trey McBride's basically a wide receiver. So if you have him in fantasy, then you're just cheating.
I did.
Yeah, you traded him away. Fantastic. Someone I also got rid of Parker Washington at 71 yards for a touchdown. So that's handy. But yeah, just overall, not a great game. And not much else to say, really, unless you've got anything to add.
I've literally just written down that Liam Cohen has done a really good job.
Yeah, again, another team with the Jags where they're going to need a big turnaround in form to get into the playoffs because they are self-sabotaging at times.
They're
still winning.
One game off the top line.
They are, with 2 games against said top team to come.
Yeah,
so
I think
that division's got very interesting very quickly.
Sorry, I tried to click to check the schedule here, and the top story is from the Daily Mail. Shedeur Sanders sends message to Trump.
Yeah, this division is very competitive, apart from the Titans, who are 1-10.
Yeah, it's probably actually been one of the better ones to keep an eye on this year.
Yeah. Next up. Oh, Jesus.
I will start, and then you can do all your hatred bollocks.
Yeah.
I have written down in capital letters, hell of an Eagles bottle. I mean, I sort of stopped paying attention to this game. I stopped paying attention to the NFL when I started watching Shedeur Sanders piecing us apart. But were they not 21-0 up?
Yes.
And they lost this game, and this Cowboys team suddenly is starting to look half decent. Who knows? But yeah, hell of a bottle. This Eagles team is not the same Eagles team as it was last year. And the game against the Bears on Black Friday, I'm taking the Bears. I'll give you a little spoiler for the next episode, but I'm taking the Bears. I genuinely think the Bears can do this team. I'm not impressed by the Eagles at all this season.
Bears, Eagles, the two teams I'm not convinced with the Bears, and I hate the Eagles. That's an interesting one. Yeah, if anyone's seen Talkspot, I'd really love to do it in shouting, but I can't be bothered. But it's basically, has anyone seen Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley?
Zach Bryan.
Yeah, Zach Bryan, as much as I love you, mate, posting about ref calls as an Eagles fan is bold to say the least. Because fuck me, if there's any team who gets close to the amount of calls that the Chiefs get, it is the Eagles. I'd argue the Eagles get more nowadays. But yeah, fuck me. I mean, I hate both of these. These are my two most hated franchises in the entire NFL. So I'd quite like a nuclear bomb to hit the stadium during this one, but I didn't. But yeah, Saquon Barkley, shite. Yeah, one season wonder, back to normality for that bloke. Jalen Hurts is a running back. He needs to change his position and stick to it. Also, why does he remember that AJ Brown exists when I finally trade for Devonta Smith? I mean, Smith was all right in this one, thank God. He actually did get receptions bar the week before where he had one, which lost me the week. But yeah, just seem to remember AJ Brown exists for 110 yards and a touchdown this week. So yeah, don't know what that's all about. But yeah, the Cowboys. Am I sold on this Cowboys team? No. I still think defensively they're a shambles. Just for once they turned up in this game. Again, much more to the Eagles just being dog shit on offense for most of it. For Saquon Barkley to get shut down by the Cowboys defense is certainly something. But it just seems like for me, this is worse for the Cowboys because now they're going to get their hopes up, thinking they have a chance at catching the Eagles, and they're going to come straight back to down to earth when they lose next week.
Tonight.
When they lose tonight, yeah, fucking hell. But yeah, just I hate both these franchises and don't really want to speak about them anymore, so I'm not going to. Fuck them both. Hope they both go bust.
Don't worry, they're still them boys. What have we got next? I'll start here because I'm hoping you can answer my question.
Yeah.
I cannot figure this Falcons team out.
I predicted the Saints. That's I can't figure this fucking Falcons team out either. What I will say is, Kirk Cousins, welcome back to the NFL. I'm sure he was screaming on the sideline. I can just hear that. You like that? You like that? From the fucking thing. But yeah, I mean, fair dues. Darnell Mooney came up big, which we expected with Drake London being out and Kirk loving Darnell Mooney, which is why I've brought him into my fantasy team for this week with Drake London. Doubtful again, typical. Again, when I get him in fantasy, he's now injured. But yeah, I can't wait them out, man. I'm not saying this wasn't like I said I predicted the Saints, but I also said am I going to be surprised if the Falcons team wins? Yeah. No, not at all. But with how bad the Falcons have been at times, I was like, oh god. What I will say is Tyler Shuck. I know he didn't throw a touchdown, right? But again, it's another game where I think it was solid for 243 yards is fine. He's not that bad. He really isn't. He's better than Spencer Rattler, in my opinion.
I think if he was 23 years of age,
yeah,
no one would be really clowning him. I genuinely think a lot of it is just to do with the fact he's a 26-year-old rookie.
It's like Bo Nix all over again. But Bo Nix took a team to the playoffs rather than getting his team 2 wins. Can't work out the Saints. Olave, if he ever wants to have any success in this league, he needs to just move, just get out. John Johnson's been better. He's probably on his best career season so far. Also, Devin Neal was very, very impressive coming in for Kamara in this game. And I think that's a sort of player to keep an eye on the next couple of weeks because he will get the leading carries, obviously, if Kamara is out. But I think even with him fit, you still will see a lot of Devin Neal with how good he looks in the games where he's come in. So, yeah, apart from that, not much to say. Just
pretty wank game.
Quite a game of football, but well done, Kirk. Because I don't know why I just really like Kirk Cousins.
He's a weird one to like. I think he's actually really creepy, to be honest, having watched that quarterback documentary.
I don't know. I think all just the memes are just quite funny. Just the whole you like that. It's just funny. But yeah, we'll move on to yes. I'm going first. This is my team for the rest of the year. I'm a Rams fan for the rest of the year.
Unfair.
I called this team playing in the Super Bowl before the draft even happened. And lo and behold, I was right. This team is unbelievable. This game, and I genuinely like. I've seen so many Rams games here, and I've been so impressed. But this is the most impressed I've been with any team in the NFL this year watching this game. Matthew Stafford is the MVP, and if you disagree, you are simply just incorrect. I'm not having it anymore. Baker Mayfield injured, but only had 41 passing yards in the first. I believe he played the entire first half, and then he got injured just before halftime.
Which is great when you picked up a Mecca Booker.
But yeah, Teddy Bridgewater did come in, so that is very much twinge in my Buccaneers pick for next week if it is Teddy Bridgewater, because I saw Baker Mayfield is touch and go. Teddy Bridgewater's getting most of the starter snaps, but Baker could still play, is what I saw. But Matthew Stafford's MVP. Devontae Adams is quickly creeping into Offensive Player of the Year considerations purely on touchdowns, because I believe he's the leader in the league on receiving touchdowns now by quite some distance. Another 2 in this game. Just over this Rams team is so good, but defensively, I'm going to, as much as it's a former Cowboy and I don't want to do it, I am going to shout out massively Emmanuel Forbes, because he has been superb this year. And this game was another unbelievable performance from Forbes, as Kian has disappeared. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, Emmanuel Forbes has been superb, and I think he is sort of my big contender for why this Ram team has been so much better this year. We got Kian back after a bit of a disaster, technical difficulties, but yeah, Emmanuel Forbes, fair play, he's been superb this year. This whole Rams team is so impressive, and what I will say about the Bucks is, if Baker is injured for this game, they play another game and they lose, this team is in serious trouble, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, of losing this division to the Carolina Panthers.
This is a team, I've actually just pulled it up there. They were 6-2. They're now 6-5. They've lost 4 of their last 5. Yeah, 4 of the last 5 games. If this was the Bills, or if this was anyone else who is supposed to be impressive, everyone would be slagging them off. For me, as much as I love Baker Mayfield and I quite like the Buccaneers, they are the AFC. Well, they are the NFCs. Sorry, they are the NFC's Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's the best way to describe them. They'll always make the playoffs because how bad that division is. Yet they'll never do fuck all in it.
Yeah, I mean they were terrible in this game. There was no offense, literally nothing. No run game, no passing game. They were just shut down by this Rams team. I mean, I just don't see a world where this Rams team aren't the best team in the NFL at the current moment in time.
Can I quickly say, actually, obviously you predicted it, fair play, right? However, I don't think it was an insane prediction. I know I flagged you at the time. It was content, all right? Let me off. If it didn't start snowing in Philadelphia last January, they probably would have beaten the Eagles in that game and gone to the conference game, where they would have beaten the Commanders. They probably could have played in last year's Super Bowl.
Why I think it was unpopular is because Stafford's back was a big concern.
That didn't help. Yeah, of course.
But I don't know. I just saw there's just so much talent on this team, and I just thought I didn't think it was that outrageous at the time, and I was obviously proven it wasn't at all because this team is superb. But yeah, just for me, not was my prediction. I'm claiming it as my one claim from this season, as I got that absolutely dead on before they even did the draft. Anything before I knew Stafford was healthy.
Sean McVay's like 30 years old and has been coaching in this league since he was for 25 years. Like, what the fuck? He's been coaching for as long as I've been watching. I swear he has.
I am jealous of them having such an unbelievably offensive-minded coach. I mean, he's so talented. He's the best coach in the NFL, in my opinion.
Hair, but
but we'll move on to the last game, and because there's not much to say about it. I am going to start because I watched this game and you didn't.
I fucking didn't. No.
Brock Purdy, what the fuck was... Oh, and Bryce Young, what the fuck did I watch? Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. 3. And the Panthers answered with literally a field goal from 3 interceptions. Bryce Young decided, fuck it, I'm going to throw 2 myself because I'm shit as well. This game did just no one deserved to win. And the only reason the Niners win is because they have a fucking robot in Christian McCaffrey. And that's the only reason why they win this game. Because Brock Purdy thought, hang on a minute, I've got probably the best running back, or one of the best running backs in the entire league, one of the best players in the league. Let me just give him the ball. All of a sudden, you win the game. It's brilliant, isn't it? But why they didn't bring in Matt Jones, I don't know. I would have taken him straight off the field after that 3rd interception against the Panthers. But just a terrible game. I mean, I don't know why I watched this. It was absolute garbage. But yeah, fucking Brock Purdy is awful.
I literally have written down, didn't watch this game, had no intention of watching this game. However, the Niners do keep winning games. They win games, they win ugly. They'll probably make the playoffs somehow, sneak in like a fucking 7th seed or something, but they're not going to do anything this year. And just a quick message to the 49ers ownership group. Please, can you sack the German Goth in charge of Leeds United? Thank you very much.
And on that note, that's the end of the episode. So thank you very much, Kian, for joining me as always. And as I said, we will record the predictions video straight after this, so you'll see both of them during the sort of Thanksgiving slate. But so thanks, Kian, for joining me, and we will see you all for our predictions video.
See you very soon.